borough's compliance with notice provisions of sunshine law by adopting prior to January 10th of this year a resolution providing the date, time, and locations of all regular meetings of the commission. This meeting is one of the meetings listed for such resolution, and copies of the resolution were prior to January 10th filed with the borough.
Need a motion to file the reports, tax collector, municipal court, and zoning official. Second. And motion to file the following minutes: September 6th, October 3rd, October 19th, and November 5th. Motion. Second. Okay. With the first reading ordinance 1749, amending chapter 301 of the Code of Borough of Collingswood water rents.
So this is amending, our, well, this one is water, we're gonna be doing sewer rents, and we'll talk about both of them. There's increases on both of these rates. I just want to remind everybody, the reason for this is, we're doing, in the midst of doing some pretty massive infrastructure improvements on the water system. We've been doing temporary measures on our water plant that involve charcoal filters that take care of this it's not a newly identified, it's a contaminant that has new standards on it called PFOS. We're building a permanent resolution to that, which is a new water plant at the Conley Avenue site. There's also requirements under state law that we replace over the next several years all lead water lines that are serviced that go into people's houses. That is underway. That's the system we had. You all taking pictures, sending us your connection so that we could make some determinations, lead line replacement. And also there's a general state statute that requires us to be replacing a certain amount of linear feet of water mains constantly in the borough. So we're a big believer in keeping our own water system. With that comes costs, substantial costs, and our water rates have been historically low compared with certainly with the New Jersey Americans and with other towns. And we're going to need to raise those numbers up to keep up with the cost of these extra infrastructure improvements. This is the first reading of the water. The water rate increase. The second one is the sewer. The public hearing will be at our December 29th. Thursday the 29th. That's in the morning.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. morning. 10 a.m. evening. Okay, that's the introduction.
Okay, Mayor Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson? Yes. We have the first reading ordinance 1750, amending chapter 247 of the Code of Borough of Collingswood sewer rents.
And same thing tied to the water. The one pipe you're paying for, bringing it to you, the other pipe is paying, taking it away from you. Okay.
Mayor Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson? Yes. The first reading of salary ordinance 1751.
This is the ordinance setting the salaries for next year for all of our employees. Public hearing will be at December 29 meeting, December 29.
Mayor Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson? Yes. We have the first reading ordinance 1752, amending chapter 241, reports, documents, and photographs.
Sandra?
Yeah, this is the one.
Who are you kicking it to?
Yeah, this is a fee increase for, police reports that are requested through email. We can charge $5 per report.
Okay. $5 a report. Okay, all right, the public hearing on this will be December 29 as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be this year. Ordinances for municipal government that are introduced in a calendar year have to be adopted in that calendar year. Can't carry them over to next year. Okay, that's,
Mayor Malley?
yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson? Yes. Then we have the first reading of ordinance 1753, authorizing a financial agreement between the Borough of Collingswood and 900 Haddon Urban Renewal LLC for the property located at 900 Haddon Avenue.
So this is a pilot agreement for the property at 900 Haddon. There are new owners, it's commonly referred to for most of us as the station house. It's the office building on Haddon Avenue, right kind of where the speed line station is. It is, there's new owners of that property, and they have, been going over with us, we've been working for a few months now, going over with us, major investment in the property. You've already seen some of the work going on improvements of the building. That property was, more than half empty when they took it over. It is, my office was there a long, long time ago. And it's, it had never really been remodeled since the fifties, sixties. So they're doing major improvements to it. They've done some major infrastructure improvements. This is actually a pilot that we want to have as our first, where we're going to be dedicating a significant portion of it to recreation and the arts facilities. We've talked about it over the last year or two, about trying to begin to generate, as we generate some new money sources, we want to focus that on projects that we as a community have not been able to get to. And I say that as the borough and also as the school board. And related to that, I'll just say we had started at the beginning of last year. We just had a kind of a big group meeting with the board within the last month on a study being done. You'll see more about it in the spring and after the first of the year. But a study being done to evaluate our needs and our capabilities with respect to recreation and the arts in terms of facilities, fields, theaters, buildings, all of that to go over it all. So this is our first attempt at trying to generate a revenue source to help pay for that. And the study is going on to figure out what exactly we should be doing. Okay, be a lot of public input after the first of the year. That's what this is. This second reading will be December 29th, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mayor Nelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Wojciechowski? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Yes.
Okay, next up is public comment. If anybody has any public comment, we'll open it up for everyone at the end of the meeting. This comment section is really only if you have questions related to items that are on the rest of the agenda. Questions you'd like to know ahead of time at all? Anything? Anybody? Okay.
Okay. The following resolutions appointing Alvarado as police officer for the Borough of Collingswood Police Department.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So, we'll take a pause here and do a swearing in. All right. Come on up, you have your family. Come on. Place your left hand on raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Hannibal Alvarado, do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And I will bear faith and allegiance to the same. And to the governments. And to the government established in the United States. Established in the United States. And in this state. And in this state. Under the authority of the people. Under the authority of the people. And I will faithfully. Impartially. And justly perform. All the duties as police officer. All the duties as police officer. For the Borough of Collingswood. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Wayne Bayer. Rushton. And special law enforcement officer, class 2, working officer.
Yes.
Yes. Appointing Scott Melenza as part-time EMT firefighter for the College Fire Department. Yes.
Yes.
Appointing Jessica Stokes as the deputy emergency management coordinator for the Borough of Collinswood Fire Department.
Yes.
Authorizing the transfer of budget appropriations within the 2022 budget.
Yes.
Authorizing the agreement with the Board of Education for custodial management, custodial maintenance service. Authorizing the agreement with Crossword Fiber for the Waiting Way Institute.
Yes.
And which tax account balance is less than $5.
Yeah.
And approving the payment of bills as presented by the treasurer.
So before we go to our statements, I just want to let you folks, if you guys are here for the swearing in, you are more than welcome to head out. You do not stay. I tried to get through our agenda, it was quick, and I say that because I think everybody else is left. Come join us, we're already all having a beer. Go right ahead, we'll join in. I've seen my life. Yeah. No, right ahead. Yeah, you got it, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Robinson?
Happy holidays. It's exciting to see everybody shopping the avenue, keep it up, support small business, enjoy the pop-ups on Saturday evenings. And,
Thank you. Commissioner Wodowski?
Yeah, and it's really just a big thank you to our staff, volunteers, largest parade in South Jersey, tree lighting, Bear Valley, weather, and just, everything turned out as well.
You got it. I want to echo Robin, thank all of our staff, what everybody does all year long. It's pretty amazing. Taking care of the nuts and bolts of everything that we do is what lets us do everything else. And it's no easy task. I want to thank them for that. Even through tonight, we're like doing all kinds of adjustments to try to make sure all of our departments are running at their peak and doing the best possible. Okay, I'm going to open up the floor. Anyone like to bring anything before the commission, Mr. Clearman? Just give me a name and address for the record.
Richard Carmen, 743.
Yes, sir.
Concerning the 900. Are they going to make sure that they put in any space in that parking lot? So people can present time?
Okay. We'll go over that with them. We'll try to make sure they don't have to come in for site plan, which is something that's where it would usually be treated, but we'll see what we can do about it.
Number 2. Recently you put in parking meters for the old police station.
Yes.
There is no handicap parking in that lot. Because there are people that
Take a
go
look.
to the farmer's market, I've seen them in wheelchairs and having games and everything else.
You got it. We'll, if we did, it's an oversight. We'll take a look and make sure we get that correct.
Number 3, what's the percentage of increases in the sewer and the water?
It's roughly 10%.
10%.
10%.
Next item is, one time we used to have a meter reading. They used to go up and down the avenue checking on the meters.
Right.
And this summer, there are summer occasions that I go down to the farmer's market to collect the compost for the community yard. And it seems like twice a month or more, there's always somebody parking in the walkway across Haddon Avenue. Not only at the Washington on both sides of the street, but also every once in a while when I go to the Wawa, there's somebody parking in there or to go into the baker shop.
I certainly believe that. Oh, you finished? Go ahead.
And there are several occasions I've seen people park on Hatton Avenue. They don't even put anything in the meter.
So a couple of things. One is, on enforcement, we do still have officers that do enforcement. Tonight, we have appointed a replacement to SLEO, the Special Law Enforcement. That's what back in the day was, one of their functions is as the meter maid, you know. So we still have that parking enforcement. The last couple of years with the pandemic and everything, don't want to say we've been the most vigilant and, you know, banging everybody that we can. Because we're also trying to just make sure we encourage people to come in and shop, you know, get back into that rhythm. The other though, that does not excuse people parking in the crosswalk, parking illegally, as opposed to parking too long, at a spot. The illegal parking, I just put under the category, you just gotta let us know when that happens. And call the police, call whomever, we'll get somebody out there. And it kind of falls in the category post-pandemic of like, people are not following rules all over the place. Zoning, parking, traffic, you pick a topic. And it's kind of tough getting people to follow the rules, but you just gotta let us know about that. We'll make sure we enforce it.
The other thing about parking in the walkways, they do it in the winter time, when there's snow on the ground. They wanna park whatever they want to.
You just gotta let us know that.
I think there's a couple things that I'll just add to that. Is one of the things that I know the police have been dealing with it is you have all these Grubhub drivers and the like, and so there's people that double park, we're on, you know, and it's problematic and catch them when we can, and, you know, and deal with that. That's sort of something that didn't exist 10 years ago. I think another area in some ways is the, you know, a victim of our success, which is more cars. And I think less than having a parking problem in general, we have a suburban problem where people feel they have to be right next to it. So they'll park illegally to be wherever they want to be instead of it's only a half block away and you can come back here.
Yeah, but it should not be parking in a.
Not defending it, just
I would recommend that make sure that you do it on Saturdays, when there's a lot more parking, business wise on Saturday.
You got it. You got it. Yep. And we'll check the handicap first thing. We'll check that. That should not be.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anything? Yep. Just name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Steve Abusa, 17 East Linden Avenue. An interesting follow-up, that's why I'm here with a little more, some more information. What he spoke about, I am in complete agreement, but I want to be a little more specific. Number one, and just as a matter of preamble, I'm 71 years old. For 67 of those years, I've lived in Collingswood, so I'm pretty familiar with the way the town has operated in the last 6 or 7 decades. And just because COVID or just because people are ignorant is no excuse for what is going on at Haddon Avenue. Now, specifically Saturday evening, and the reason I know is because I live on East Linden, my daughter lives on Coulter, so I travel Haddon Avenue, their place, more often than not. Saturday evening, going down was not too much of an issue, except that when I reached Villa Barone, where the clock crossing is, that's a very poorly lit crossing, and it's one that people seem to enjoy using. So not only am I forced to watch the car in front of me to prevent slamming into his rear end when he gets caught by surprise, I have to look right and left at the crossing to make sure nobody is ready to jump out, regardless of what the traffic is. And I also have to look at the oncoming lane to make sure that those drivers aren't skirting around the aforementioned box trucks and tractor trailers that are double parking and blocking traffic. So I have to look four ways at once at every intersection. That's not the way to be a safe driver as far as I'm concerned. It may make you extremely aware of things, but to me, that's unacceptable. It's unnecessary. Now, returning from my daughter's down Haddon Avenue, going eastbound on Saturday evening, the first thing happened, I come up the Palmer Avenue to make a left onto Haddon to return. And a gentleman across the street decides to make an instantaneous U-turn right in front of me. Just because he happens to live on the opposite side of Haddon Avenue and he has to get there instantly to park his vehicle. That set me off right there. The next thing, I come down to where Bistro Di Marino is, same night, Saturday night. And I see someone facing the wrong way with their headlights on at Haddon Avenue. And I immediately think, okay, this guy's going to pull a U-turn too. And as I pass, I look in my rearview mirror, and sure enough, another U-turn on Haddon Avenue. No regard for what's going on or anything else. I get down to the intersection at Woodlawn, where we're having a Saturday evening get together. A police car is parked there with its lights on. And right across Haddon Avenue, directly across at the intersection of Powell Lane, I see 4 cars parked in a no parking hash marked area, right next to the bump out. And the last car at the bump out has his bumper extending into the traffic lane. Unacceptable. Police officer, I don't know where the officer was, but the car was there, so the officer couldn't have been too far away. I don't care whether it's Saturday night or it's Christmas Day. This is illegal. It should not be allowed to happen. And yet it goes on. I don't know how many times I have seen people park against those bump outs with part of their car in the traffic lane because I have to go right here. All right. Well, park down the street and walk. Now, okay, this is what goes on. This is what I see. All right. A week ago, I'm traveling down Haddon Avenue and I get to Lincoln Avenue and I see somebody trying to make a K turn into Lincoln, backing out onto Haddon Avenue for God knows what. Okay. Again, total ignorance of how to drive. All right. I don't want to go too long here, but at the same night, no, I'm sorry, it was Friday night. I had to go Friday night. I get to Lincoln, kind of right in front of the Borough Hall. And we have a car nose in toward the curb, almost in front of the Borough Hall. Don't know what he's doing. His lights are on, but he's nose into the curb, the back end of his car in the traffic lane. The gentleman in front of me is trying to figure out where to go, what to do. What does he do? He pulls a turn out into the other traffic lane around the sign that designates the crosswalk. He's completely in the oncoming lane. All right. Again, absolutely hazardous. All right. And my question, aside from the suggestions I would like to make, my question is, what is the responsibility for a driver when they're traveling Haddon Avenue and pedestrians randomly stagger out into the street feeling that they own Haddon Avenue as a pedestrian walkway and they get hit? Do we have legal advice here or something?
Okay, so there's a whole lot of stuff going on with what you just said. We don't disagree with you. I mean, I know what's going on, and enforcement with our, police force. My point to is just simply that all those traffic, all those things going on, parking, there is so much of it going on everywhere. You can't possibly go get them. Okay, you just need to call up and let us know. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it is, and we see the U-turns on Haddon Avenue to get a parking place.
Yes.
That's what I think of.
Yes.
Like the hook to go get in a parking spot. On pedestrian crosswalk, so now you ask about pedestrian crosswalk. Pedestrian crosswalk, yeah, that guy that walks out into the crosswalk, they do own that crosswalk.
I specifically said outside of a crosswalk.
Oh, no, outside they don't, let's call it the
They're
chase.
still shooting him.
Outside.
I'm not going to intentionally hit.
people have responsibility not to hit somebody.
I'm not going to intentionally hit them. But more often than not, what I get is a dirty look that I interrupted his saunter across Haddon Avenue.
Listen, I get charged up with it too. Trust me.
I don't disagree with you.
And look, I think it's worth circling back with police and talking about it some more and figure out, we're doing the best and what can we do better?
Well,
And,
okay.
like I said, we won't catch them all, but
All right, well-
send a signal out there. Once they start seeing cherries and,
I'd like to make several suggestions rather than just complain.
Go for it.
Okay, first of all, and it shouldn't take too much time or effort, survey Haddon Avenue through the entire business district. Make sure that every no parking area is perfectly outlined, either in yellow striped curbs or white hash marks. And enforce those. Enforce them regardless. And you're talking about the availability of police to catch people. Well, Saturday night and Sunday evening or Friday evening is a perfect time to start catching them. All right? Maybe not so much on a Monday night like tonight when half the businesses aren't open anyway. All right? But somebody has to be held accountable sometime for something. Otherwise, you're just breeding more and more contempt for traffic laws. And I don't think that's acceptable. Now, the other thing I might suggest, and if the state or the county wants to kick in money, since a lot of probably what goes on with these pedestrian laws is at county or state level, why don't, instead of a sign in the middle of Haddon Avenue advertising that, hey, Mr. Pedestrian, you have complete freedom to do whatever you want in this crosswalk, why don't we start posting signs that pedestrians must use caution and common sense when crossing Haddon Avenue in traffic, and post them at each crosswalk? Now, I understand people don't like to read too much anymore, but still, I think that would help a little bit, right? It's not just you're free to walk anytime you want, use your brain. Now, one other thing, which I'm sure is a suggestion, which would probably certainly not sit well with our businesses. All of these businesses that rely on huge amounts of people coming in at one particular time, and by that I mean restaurants particularly, why don't we have a suggestion that they include in their menus or somewhere in their advertising or something that people see when they go to these restaurants? Let's be polite when using the business district in on Haddon Avenue in Collingswood. Please attempt to use common sense when crossing a busy county highway. It's just, it's gotten to the point where it is absolutely annoying. And I know for a fact, obviously, that I'm not the only one that's annoyed.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Everything coming out.
thank you. All right, I know, Mr. Klinger, you want another one? No, go ahead.
No, I just want to make a comment. I don't cross Haddon Avenue unless the cars are stopped on both directions.
I do the same
I
thing.
mean,
I want to make eye contact when I.
yes. And
But you mentioned common sense. Some people do.
the walkways that you should have a barrier in the parking areas so people don't back into it. Because I was almost getting crossed out so that they can't go beyond that area.
Gotcha.
It may be a hazard when you plow the snow.
Right.
But there has to be something to warn these people that, hey, you're backing up to a person that's standing in a walkway. You might put them injured.
I got you. Okay. All right, thank you. We are adjourned.